Good morning and welcome to Espresso with Erin and Sarit. Today we will be talking about how to create a whole, complete, and fulfilled life regardless of where you're starting or where it is that you're coming from. Our guest today is a fellow Grant Cardone licensee, and when I first heard this guy speak, I felt him on a really deep level, and I even told you that.
Yep.
And I immediately knew that you have an incredible story to share. Montel Fleming is a licensed real estate salesperson for Oxford Property Group, a real estate company where he's worked for over 6 years. He has over 20 years of commercial and residential real estate experience with over $500 million in closed transactions. That is money.
That's right.
He is the co-founder of K&M Enterprises Holdings, which is a family-owned real estate holding company, and he has experience at running successful businesses and managing great teams in various real estate and little companies through the years. Montel is also a certified facilitator through correctional counseling that helps people deal with life obstacles and personal family development with a primary focus on domestic related issues in teens, men, and women. Montel has also served in the military, and you wouldn't think that by looking at him, but ladies, this guy is a feminist. So drop a bomb comment in the house if you're ready to get this party started. He loves meeting new people, and most importantly, he loves helping people. And that's why we've got him here today, because I think golden nuggets are going to be dropping faster than hail, bigger than snow. Thank you for joining us today, Montel.
My pleasure. My pleasure. It's an honor.
So, when I first came across you and I heard you speak, I'm like, man, like, you guys can probably relate because we're all soulful in here, and drop a comment if you agree too. But do you know, like, when you meet someone who just feels like they have so much wisdom, you can feel it, and like immediately you're attracted to them, right? So that's exactly how I felt when I first heard you speak, Montel. But let's talk a little bit about your life and what experiences have led you to have this can-do attitude.
Well, wow. I think a lot of it is DNA. It's inside. I think anything that's great comes here first. So I think I have to give credit to my parents, obviously, for instilling that drive and work ethic in me. It just took it to me to figure out what it was and where I wanted to place it, right, and figure out who I wanted to become and what I wanted to become. So I think it starts there. And then you and I have shared this a lot. I'm not boisterous about it because I don't believe you have to, because I think people can just see it. But I'm a spiritual guy. I believe in God. I don't believe in pressuring that on people, but I believe that you have to find something that is your why. So for me, everything centers from there. And then in my actions and in my work, I believe in putting out what I believe in receiving from people. So if I put in maximum effort, put in maximum care and concern, I'm going to get those things back in return. So it's just that energy, it's synergy. And obviously how we connected it was just like that. I believe in being authentic and being myself and being totally who I am. So good, bad, and indifferent, and I'm not perfect. So I don't want also to give up that perspective because, God knows I've gone through some stuff, but I'm willing to talk about it and keep pushing forward to whatever the new thing is for me to go after and accomplish.
Yeah, of course. So, you guys listening, you've heard us talk about 10x before in the system and, why we believe in it so much. But, you said that, Montel, you're willing to talk about it. And I think that on the outside, when people think, oh, 10x, like they're just like, they're loud, they're obnoxious, they're like obsessed people. But,
Yeah.
the reality is that you're obsessed with a purpose because there's something that's bigger than you that you're standing for.
Yep. Most
So,
definitely.
let's talk about some life adversities that have led you to find your purpose of helping people.
Wow. I mean, obviously there's several, but I think the ones that I think tend to really inspire people is when I talk about obviously the homelessness that I've gone through multiple times in my life. Obviously I'm a couple of times divorced. So, if anybody knows that experience is like, I mean, it's crazy. It's like death and experiencing death when you lose someone that you care about and things like that, right? And then also the probably the most important one in the last maybe 12 years or 10 years, I would say now, because it's funny, my baby would have been 14 this year, was losing my 2.5-year-old to cancer. That really probably rocked me to my core. And that's probably the hardest thing I've ever had to endure and overcome. And I think, you and I have talked about this. One of the things for me was realizing as a Black man that it's okay to get help and okay to talk about your feelings and as a man in general, because a lot of times we don't like to do that. And in order to really deal with obstacles that we may face and the things we got to go and overcome, it's important to do that self-care. Mental health is very, very important, especially in today's climate, obviously with COVID. So for me, like, it's very, very important that I had to deal with those emotions and be okay with dealing with those things and getting myself to a point where I'm like, you know what, this happened to me, but now you know what? I have fuel now. If I didn't have any other stuff that we talked about early in this conversation, to now really go after my goals, my dreams, the aspirations that I have for myself and my family. So I chose not to let it define me, not in a bad way. I chose to let it define me in a positive way, to where I could take that loss and turn it into some positive gains in other aspects of my life. And as you talked about the feminist, movement, I'm married to a boss lady. She's a rock star wife, amazing person. She really also helped me with this journey of trying to figure out who I was and where I was trying to go. Because a lot of my success that I've had it in different fractures of my 20 plus, now going on 21 years in January career of real estate. Um, it's been like this. It's just like anything, ups and valleys, peaks and valleys, and all these other things, right? So it's not always this way. It's not always a straight line. Sometimes there's going to be some dips and some curves and stuff like that. So um, being grounded to who I am, and it starts obviously with family, has been the most important thing. And then also the extensions, the connections that who I've been able to attach myself to, mentors, good therapists obviously has helped me. And then obviously when I realized that I was feeling like I'm okay with who I am, now it's like, you know what, let me get some of these pivots that I've learned and let me try to apply these and help other people. So that's why my passion is for obviously helping teenagers and young men and women and men and women in general deal with their issues when we talk about, social issues and domestic violence and other things out here that's going on in the world, because we're all having to deal with different challenges and we all have a story. And I believe that we all do. Mine might sound unique to me, but in reality, I know there's a lot of people that's of like-mindedship that have gone through some of my adversity. So I'm not oblivious to that. And I'm not selfish to my own feelings and my own beliefs to not recognize somebody else's struggle. You got to be present. You got to understand that. That's important.
You've got to be present. Okay, so you guys, if you're happening to, just need a reminder, Montel dropped a lot of really good nuggets. Don't let your adversities define you. If anything, turn it into a positive. And also the root of family and the extension of the network that you surround yourself in.
Mm-hmm.
So now, going back to the concept of family, because, you are a family man and you're also, like, you're very close with them as well. Now, let's go back to your childhood.
Yeah.
If I was to ask you this, what were the top 5 lessons that you learned growing up in your own home that carried over
Mm.
for the rest of your life from your parents? What would those be?
Wow. So um, a lot of my childhood, I would have to say, and I don't know how much we've even talked about this, but I was raised by single father. And he raised obviously 4 children, 3 boys, 1 girl. My sister's the oldest of us. She's kind of like the statement of the family. She's the person that we all go to. She's our center. But dad actually really, he was a man of action. And but I appreciate a lot of the things. But one of the biggest lessons he ever taught us was obviously spirit of giving, but also being able to be yourself. And then the other important thing is obviously being able to love people. So a lot of the stuff, and I've recognized this honestly as I've grown as a young man, although I'm about to be 40, so I don't want to talk about all the years. But my dad really was. He's a loving person, and because I'm a PK, I don't know if you guys know what that is. I'm a preacher's kid. My dad honestly is one of the most friendliest, outgoing people I know, and a part of the stuff that I'm putting out is kind of where I got that from him. But the other things is like he was just present. Like when he was pastoring his flocks, he was making sure he was involved with the community and talking to the people that he was responsible for spiritually. But he also made time to make sure that his kids understood that we were an important focal point of why he does what he does, and the adversity that I saw that man go through when my parents divorced at a very very young age, um, and how he handled it, the humility he handled it with. Honestly, that's kind of like where I kind of started like realizing that stuff's going to happen to you, but it's how you deal with it in order to kind of press forward. And my dad's always been one of those people for me. So, um, and then I would honestly say, he always told us that it was important for us to stay close, um, and we try our best, obviously, because now we all have our own families. My brother works for the State Department. He's actually overseas in Norway. I think we shared that a little bit. My sister's in South Florida now, or not South Florida, Panhandle of Florida. So she's down there. So, and my brother obviously is in Jacksonville, Florida. So I have family like in different parts, but we try as siblings try to do our part to make sure we stay connected, and build on what dad put into us. So that's important, and it allows you to kind of realize that you're not. Although we come in as our own unique person, I believe we're all connected, whether it's family, blood, or whether all of us right now in this space. I think that's important. So that connection was something I learned from my dad. I just kind of, a lot of times he wasn't about just talking. My dad was just about being about it. So, he just showed
Mhm.
up. He didn't make excuses. He didn't say, well, because I got church that I can't go have family time and family dinner times on Sundays, whatever. He did what he had to do. And I never see him talk bad about my mom, ever. And that doesn't mean that they didn't have their own discord, because clearly they got a divorce, right? But the way he handled us in his actions and the way he showed us how to deal with each other and deal with conflicts and issues, that was just something that just meant something to me. So I just kind of took that, and I don't think he probably knew that when he was doing this stuff, but man, I learned so much from that guy. I really did. And so for me, that's where it started. It started at home. It started from dad's tutelage, and then it was like it evolved as my life started really manifesting and taking off. And then obviously I had a big adversity when I was in high school, where our family home that I lived in, my dad built this house. He bought this piece of land when he was a young guy, coming out of high school, and he went away into the military. Literally built this house from the ground up. So we lost that house. It went up in a fire when I was in high school. So it caused me to have to lose, some connections with family and stuff, because we had to move, because dad was like, we gotta go start, we're gonna rebuild. And that was something he taught me. So the rebuilding thing, right? It was like, hey, you know, yes, life happens. This sucks. Our family's gonna be broken up a little bit and be in different places with other family members for right now. But I'm gonna promise you this. This will not affect us to a point that we're going to turn this into a negative. We're going to turn this negative to a positive, and we're going to rebuild. We're going to restore, and it's going to be better than what it was before. So honestly, that was the type of stuff. I think that was probably 5 good nuggets, probably not more, but those were kind of the things that really, really shaped who I became as a man, and honestly, who I am now.
So, for one, you guys listening, can you please do us a favor? And if I was to ask you, what are the 2 words that Montel has said that have resonated with you most? Please write them down. Also, I think that for anybody who's spiritual, you're probably like, what he just said is bonkers, because today's conversation is literally an extension from last week. And the person that we interviewed last week was talking literally about the same thing. One of the words that you said that really stood out to me was the word rebuild.
Right.
And the story of a fire.
Mm-hmm.
And, regardless of how it makes you feel, like still having the courage to move forward. So now another word that you said that really stood out to me, and you said it a couple of times, was the word presence.
Mm-hmm.
So now when it comes to rebuilding your life, because man, like you lost your house, you lost your first house to a fire when you were in high school. We know another huge adversity that you've gone through is that you were homeless a couple of times. Another adversity is like, man, like you lost your child when she was 2.5 years old. So now when a fire in your life happens, right? When you have to put out a fire, how important is being present with regards to the rebuilding process?
Well, honestly, it's just about in order for me to deal with those issues or whatever those obstacles may be, right? And I don't know who else is dealing with those even now or has dealt with them in their own lives and experiences in this process. But I found that me being present allows me to kind of deal with them, not from a standpoint of oh man, well, woe was me. I'm gonna want about self-pity and all that stuff. Because honestly, I don't talk about these experiences for someone to feel like, oh my God, I gotta feel so sorry for myself. It's not even about that for me. Really, what it's about is kind of exhuming the fact that yes, I've gone through those things, but it doesn't define who I am now and who I will be. Because honestly, I feel like every day it's an effort for me to get better than I was yesterday. So in order for me to center myself, I have to be in the presence of who I am. I do that with my wife. I have that conversation with her all the time. Hey, babe, got to be present. Give me your eyes. We need to look at each other. I need to be able to hear what you're saying to me and let me know that, hey, these are some things I might need you to work on. Cause I know you think you're a bomb dude, but hey, there's some things that I need you to kind of perfect and get better for me, So it's those type of things for me. I think you got to center yourself. And when you calm yourself, because I don't believe in making any decisions in an anger type of mentality. When you're upset and frustrated, I think those are you make bad decisions from those kind of emotions. So being present allows you to center yourself, calm yourself, get yourself focused, and then you got to do the work, right? Put together the plan of action of what do I need to do to overcome this set obstacle that I'm now enduring in this storm. And that's really all these things that we're talking about, and these issues are things that I've gone through. They're storms of life, but they shouldn't define who you are now, who you will be in the future. And for me, that was important, and I had to realize that when I was going through it. So I just got to center myself. Let's get myself calmed down, because I can't make decisions in upset processes, and let me just deal with what I got to deal with. Let's do the work. When you go to therapy, that's a part of it. A lot of people think therapists are there to solve our issues. Really, they're not. They're there to listen to us, to be a sounding board. But a lot of times you're working through your own issues in order to get to whatever your outcome is by going through that therapy. So a lot of times we don't realize it. We're working out our own issues. There's just an unbiased opinion person that's there to help us, to guide us, to mold us, to help us get to the point where we're trying to get to that outcome. Sometimes the outcome may be quick. Sometimes it might take you a couple of years. You just never know. It depends on your story, depends on what you're going through, and it depends on how you define how you want to let that define you.
You've got a choice.
Yep, you got a choice.
Powerful. I love it. Okay, so now looking back at all these adversities, we're going to start moving forward a little bit. But looking back at all these adversities, from a macro scale view, was there a blessing in disguise?
Yeah, I mean there are a lot. I mean, to be honest with you, when I've had a major adversity in my life, there's always been some blessing that comes out. And that's why I call them storms, right? Because like it's funny how life works. But 24 years ago, I met my beautiful wife for the first time in my life when that whole obstacle of the fire happened in my life. So my first love experience in life, real love experience, was my first real girlfriend in life and the person I met in my high school years, right? From that adversity of that fire. Now it's funny if you really know, if I got a chance to really know all of you guys and we could talk a lot, I could tell you the story of how we became husband and wife today, but there was adversities in that process and all of those things that we're talking about, I'm unpacking, a lot of that happened during that period of the last 20 years where I was going through adversities and issues and stuff. And so we left each other and then we came back into each other's lives after years and years of time, passing and things like that. And then it just came clear to me. I was like, darn, you're the one person that I always knew that loved me unconditionally other than my family. I always treated her, felt like she was family. And then, she was always the person that motivated me and said, hey, babe, you can do this. You can do whatever you want to do. You're a king. You are a person that God is going to bless and always get through stuff. So guess what? I'm here with you, and not to walk like, behind you or any of that. I'm gonna walk right beside you. So for me, that was probably the biggest blessing. And then all the other extensions, my kids, obviously, um, are a very, very big blessing from that process. Because my kids will tell you how I am with y'all right now talking. This is how I talk to my babies. I need them to know daddy's like accountable. They're varying age, one's 18, getting ready to start Arizona State here in the next week.
No
Um,
kidding. Congrats.
so yeah, and then I got a baby, 3-year-old toddler running around the house, making sure everybody knows that he's the boss around here. And then I have I have almost 12-year-old. And so honestly, I try to give my kids those things that I told you guys about what I felt my dad, those lessons. I try to instill those in my kids. So I want them to be better than I am or was. And in order for me to do that is I have to be present to them and be willing to share my experiences with them so they know that dad is not perfect. I'm a flawed human being who has issues, who's dealt with issues, and that will continue to have issues. And guess what? I tell you what, I'll always be here for you. Call me. Let's talk. Whatever we need to do, I don't care how old you get, call me. And I have that relationship with my dad even to this day. So it's like, I believe that's important. So those are the blessings out of it. And there's been a bunch of others. I mean, obviously
Sure.
business has been crazy. Obviously my wife and I are doing amazing things together, and in our own collective career. So there's been a lot of blessings from that. But I think that's the probably the biggest reward from all of this is that those storms that we talked about, they didn't discourage or hurt the outcome of me living the best life I could have for myself.
Write that down, you guys. Storms
Okay.
should not discourage you.
They should
Now,
not discourage you.
one last question. Do you think, had you not been present, do you think that you would have been able to find a blessing in disguise?
Honestly, hey, that's a great question. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, sis, I
Because you
never
only
really.
lived it one way.
Oh my God. And that's the crazy part. Like, I don't even know because to be honest with you, like, I only know that way. I think that, and honestly, I'm not trying to tell you that, there's one way to solve an equation or problem because we all know there's various ways. But what I am challenging you is define your way. What is your way? What is your way that's going to get you through whatever that obstacle is? I'm just telling you from my own experience, this is what helped me to get me to where I am and overcome the obstacles and the issues and the stuff that I've had to overcome to unpack all my BS and then like, okay, lay it at my wife's doorsteps when we were dating. And I was like, look, okay, can you handle all of this? I'm a broken man here. I'm not perfect. I'm flawed. I can't, I don't even know which way is straight right now. I just need somebody to just be able to listen to me, but also be able to say, hey, babe, I'm here with you. And to be honest with you, every time I've ever gone through something when it comes to life in the last maybe 7, 8 years of us being in this last journey with one another, that keeps me going because she's like, babe, I'm right here with you. She always reminds me of that. And I think that's all we need. And so, and it doesn't have to be, and I don't want to take this as like it's just about couples, but I think even being a single person in today's environment, we need those partners in our lives, meaning good friends, because I feel my friends are family. I don't call them friends. They're, if you're in my sphere and we have a connection in life, guess what? We family now. Okay. So it is what it is. We just gonna love it, unpack it. We're gonna deal with whatever we gotta deal with. Let's do it together. You gotta call me and say, hey Montel, I need you for 30 minutes. Let's talk. I'm that type of person. Let's do that. So that's important.
You are. You guys, let's drop Montel some hearts in the chat box. Isn't he amazing? Gosh, you're so good. So, 2020 has been a crazy year.
Yeah.
I believe that for those who have been able to get themselves present in this year, 2020 has been a booster. Mm-hmm. But 2020 came with a storm.
Yeah, it did.
Especially if you live in the United States. It's not just the coronavirus, it's also the elections that are going on, right? There's just so much happening. It's a storm literally coming at you from all angles, right? Mm-hmm. It's like you can't even like see anything outside of it. But, knowing that, millions of people are going through tough times right now. If you could give from your experience, any sort of emotional booster to anybody who's going through a tough time, what would that be?
It would mainly be that you're not alone. I think if we realize what really connects us, guess what? We're all going through the same things right now. We're all, most of us, the people that I know right now and don't know, we're all working from home, or there's 50 some million kids that are doing e-learning. My son being two of those people. So we're not in these experiences in these storms by ourselves. And I think that actually, to me, it inspires me because guess what? That means we're going to be able to rise from this even better and stronger than what we were when we went into this. And being in New York, I mean, we're kind of the epicenter here in the United States. One of the reasons why I love living up here wasn't just because they birthed my beautiful wife, but the reality is that New Yorkers are tough. And they're tough because they all have gone through this concrete jungle and adversity called life. And I always feel that's an important part of how you deal with stuff. So the reality is that we're all going to be better from this. Now you need to choose how you want to respond to this situation. Like, do you want to continue to focus on the fact that things have been bad? And honestly, I'm pretty sure all of us can probably relate. I've lost somebody, family, from this situation. And how I felt by not being able to be there for that person or that almost family that was trying to circle around, and that obstacle of like, man, coronavirus, we can't go to funerals and see our families. Honestly, it actually just ticked me off. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to channel this energy, and what I would want to do when really honoring the uncle that I lost. Honestly, now I'm going to go out here and be more inclusive and connected to the people that are our fellow citizens. We got to understand this is important. We got to wake up. We can't just live our lives in silo anymore. We have to start realizing and appreciating each other from our cultural differences, our backgrounds, whatever it is. Political party affiliations. I have friends that are Republicans just like I do that are Democrats. It's really not about all of that stuff for me. Now, don't get me wrong. I believe in voting and being present. Your voice is important. You need to use it. People have sacrificed and died to give us those abilities and those opportunities to go out and do those things. So why not do that? So I've been a very big part of that too, moving people to the point of getting them registered to vote. Those are things that I'm passionate about, because community is the biggest thing we have, whether it's small community, right, where you live, but also your community of where you reside in regards to a bigger scope, whether you're from New York or Oklahoma or Ohio. Guess what? We're all still Americans, because when we soldiers took that oath to serve our country, guess what? Not one of us look at each other because we care about our color, where we come from, any of those things. We all under red, white, and blue, stars and stripes, and we about to go out here and show our best selves to the people that we go out and come in contact with. And that does not mean that the force of might, because we're powerful, we're soldiers, we're this. It's not about that. Even when I serve in the military, it's also about connecting with other people, and understanding they are people, they're human beings, and they must be treated and acknowledged as such. And I think we got to get back to all of that.
Amen. Choice, ownership, community is the answer. 100%, buddy. Thank you for that. So, I want to ask you an interesting question, because you're an Air Force veteran, but you're also a full-blown feminist. And last time I checked, and this is the beauty of diversity. And our community is very diverse, and we're all about that. But, normally in the military, you don't see that.
Yeah.
For anybody who, by the way, thank you for your service. And for anybody who either has served or is serving, thank you so much for your service. Please drop a comment and tell us where you're serving. But, it seems as if in the military, though, when we go to war, we're one, but there is this segregation that's happening. And I don't know if you've heard, also, there's a lot of sexual assault that's happening in the military as well. And I believe, and I heard that directly from people, that, women who have been harassed, they have their voice is not being heard.
Right.
So, standing for women's rights, but also, being a male who has served in the Air Force, what do you think is the disconnect and the opportunity?
The disconnect is man's non-ability to recognize our flaws and say, you know what? Although part of those things that we talked about in regards to the military service are aspirational, there's still parts of it that require us to do our part and to act and to be accountable to one another. And luckily, I said my beautiful sister that honestly is the center of my family household. She's also military. I think everybody, I think once you served, you realize that. But my sister dealt with a lot of obstacles. We used to talk about it, from all of her rising in the ranks and stuff and the adversity she dealt with. And then obviously her career kind of ended a little bit sooner than she had planned on it, because she got to deal with the life of obstacle of lupus. But she still didn't let that define her, because I tell you right now, that girl's working on her master's degree right now. Okay, so I think it's just really about we got to do the hard work, and it's not on women to always lead us to that process. They can show us, right? I think the reason, this is why I love when y'all do the most things that men can't do. Can't have kids. Honestly, I don't know a man is strong enough to go through that process. I'm just being real. So we can talk all the crap about men are stronger. BS. We're not. But then the other thing is that, when it comes to relate to the military, I believe that women are just as powerful and dominant and can go in and be boss ladies and boss chicks and handle the leadership roles that are required, the heavy lifting and taking care of and uplifting, even more so than men. Even though men may not want to agree with that, but I'm just being honest with you. My wife will tell you, I tell her all the time, I think y'all are the best rock stars out here. I expect y'all to go out here and be leaders. In order to define what's going on in this current world environment, we're going to depend on women to lead us, because unfortunately, put in the hands of men, ego, all this other stuff gets involved. And that's military too. And I think that's the reason why a lot of the stuff that was allowed to continue to happen in the military, even when I was in it, was happening. Although I believe you got to be present there too. So if I saw something, I spoke up for my sister, right? I don't care where you come from. If I see something that's not appropriate, you need to say something, right? You need to step up and be a partner to those people when they're going through those experiences, even if you can't relate or understand. And that's the problem. Mm-hmm. We think that, oh, well, y'all should just get over it. Well, I don't care. I don't believe in that. I believe we need to understand that there's experiences that we don't really understand what it's like in the plight of a woman. So we need to really take notes, get a notebook out, take some notes. Hey, can you talk to me? What is it like to be in your shoes, to deal with, inclusion, to deal with proper being paid the same as a man, all of these issues, because these conversations happen in my house all the time. I'm with a boss chick, but don't get twisted. She has to deal with so much adversity all the time. So we have these open conversations. And I'm like, okay, what do you need from me? How can I be your best advocate to help you get the goal that you seek? And if I have some suggestions, hey, babe, you thought about this? Why don't you do this? So I call it the lean in experience. I love the NBA because the NBA was talking a lot about that in the last couple of years, about leaning in. I think all men need to step up. This is Montel's call on whether you're military or not. We need to step up and lean in. We need to understand that it's not about us. Stop being selfish. Stop being egotistical. Put your pride aside. Put it off to the side all the way down, and let's get to do the work, because the work is going to be required to get this thing in a fair, honest situation that we all hope and aspire to be. But you got to be real about it.
Mm. And again, it comes back to what we were just talking about, the importance of the human connection.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm thinking about when you're saying all of this, I agree with it 100%, because this is how, by the end of the day, everything in life rises and falls on leadership. And that's why,
yes.
We have this beautiful opportunity right now. It's a huge problem for those who see it as a problem.
Right.
But, it's a great opportunity.
Yes.
To create the change that needs to happen. And I believe that a big problem is the fact that people are not confident in their own self. Mm-hmm. So they're scared to speak up. Do you agree?
I agree with that wholeheartedly.
And even though they feel in their heart, even though they've never been in that person's shoes before, like intuitively we know when something is just doesn't like feel right.
Right.
But like people will just like not do anything about it. And again, like it goes back to the concept, like it rises and falls on leadership.
Correct.
So for somebody who notices something that's wrong, that's happening, whether it's in their workplace, how they're being treated, what do you think is necessary in order for them to find the courage to speak up?
Oh, man. I think, to be honest with you, and I think that's why I said being present is important. And it's kind of great that these conversations are coming up, because I experience them every day in my home. And the first thing I always tell my wife is like, okay, babe, what do you need me to do? Is there something I can do? I know a lot of times I can't go to her job, although I would like to, and say, hey, listen, Mr. CEO, you need to recognize the gifts that this woman brings to I really would like to do that. And she even reminds me when we have these corporate events, she's like, babe, okay, I just need you to understand we're here for business. This don't come in. I was like, okay, I can't go and tell somebody that they need to give you your pay increase and do all this other stuff. Okay, I get it. I understand it. But to be honest with you, I just think it's you gotta find out, when I talked about earlier about being within, I think we all got that king and queenmanship, and we need to like let that inner lion roar out and say, listen, I'd be damned if I'm gonna now stay silent when I deserve or I should have the opportunity, right? Because it's really what it's about. It's not really about the money and all that kind of stuff. It's about the opportunity to be great. And if I know that my opportunity for being great is saying that I need this promotion, or that I should have this promotion because of X number of things that I've done to show the work, then damn it, give me mine. Because in reality, I've known a lot of people that have gotten a lot of opportunity that didn't necessarily earn it or work for it, right? So, and that's why I talk about, the experience in regards to understanding that we got to understand that women didn't come in with the same advantages as the men did, right? So how you equal that playing field? Well, we got to let them know that it wasn't fair going out from the process. So now we got to equal up to what our aspirations have been. If you're saying it's about equality and we're down here and you guys are up here and you already had the advantage and it was because of who you knew, then guess what? It really wasn't equality. So we got to equal that playing field. But we need voices. We need people that are willing to step out and do the hard work. And I'm married to a hard charger. And I tell you what, that girl goes out and she puts herself on the line and she speaks up. And I continue to ask her to continue to speak up, because there's some people that are scared from it's really this fear from the retaliation that is demonized on women to say, oh well, you're speaking up and you're saying something, so that means you're a bad person because you just want to talk about all bad. No, it's not that. It's that I believe we need to have this open conversation about this issue, that in order for us to be really great, in order for us to be the inclusive company we claim to be, we got to make sure that this is really accurate. And it's not accurate if one of us feels that it's not accurate.
Yes.
So guess what? Let's do the work. Let's acknowledge that there is some stuff going on that's not fair, that's not right. And then now let's go out here and fix it to make it more fair. And the decision makers need to reflect you beautiful women. So guess what? If it's all male board and there's no women and no diversity there, how can it really be about inclusion when there's no diversity on the board in the first place? What are we talking about?
Right.
You got to have a seat at the table. You got to have a voice at the table. And when there's one, then guess what? There's many. Because guess what? I guarantee you, if one woman gets on that board, guess what winds up happening? You start seeing more women get on the board. Because she's like, hey, I don't like what I see around here. I need more of me around here. Need some fighters, some stormtroopers. That's what I call y'all. Stormtroopers. Let's go. Let's get it active. Let's be accountable to one another. And that's what I push on my wife. It's like, look, babe, I need you to be the voice. Because honestly, you have no problem. You know who you are. You're accountable to who you are, but you're also willing to do the hard work to help lift others up with you. Because it's not just about you. It's about the person that comes after you. So if they have it a little bit easier than what it was it took you to get it, guess what that's going to do? It's going to continue to raise the standard, right, of what we're really trying to be in life. And that's really about being more equal and more fair, just society across the board in business and in life. And that's why I said men have to also like do the hard work and say, listen, I'm gonna have to step this one out because this star right here is rising and she needs to be able to let it's her moment. I'm gonna help her. This is not a reflection of who you are because you want to elevate someone else. I believe it's important that we got to uplift others. That's actually why I told you I'm all about doing this, because I think it's important that people know there's people just like me that's not just focused on what our differences are. I'm focusing on the things that we can do to help one another. How can we increase all of us having that playing stage so we can all get out here and be great and chase our dreams and live our best lives? That's it.
I love it. Let's turn it back to you for a second. So, being an African American male, I mean, whether we like it or not, though there's one race called the human race,
Mm-hmm.
not everybody agrees with it. And I wonder, have you yourself have faced oppression in the business place or in life when opportunities were given to you because of that?
Oh
Oh,
yes, most
yes, most
definitely.
definitely.
I mean, I don't know if you guys can tell this, but I was raised in the South. So, I'm a Southern boy. Um, so for me, being raised in that environment, I instantly got confronted with obviously racism and the things that I say the worst in our country, but I also got to see the best in our country and being in those environments too. And so for me, I took those opportunities when those things happened to say, you know what, I'm not gonna let your stupid, short-sighted blindness affect my ability to know that there's other good people that look like you, that may speak like you, but they don't feel like you. They don't give the same energy as you. Some of my closest friends, obviously, that I've made in life are, obviously non-white or non-black. But the reality is that they're just like me. Those are my sisters and brothers too. And I told you, you one of them. So for reality, for me, what I've tried to realize is that even in my career choice, you know, in the city that's as loved as ours, to be honest with you, there's not a lot of minority representation as far as real estate brokers, right? And although people say they want to be about inclusion and making sure that there's diversity and all this other stuff, it's in your actions. But when I go out here and I do deals, and a lot of my deals and stuff are not of people like myself, or they don't understand, or they assume one thing when they see me when I come in the room. Although, don't let this fool you. I'm dressed to the nines mostly, but this is obviously the new COVID wear these days because I'm not going out meeting clients and stuff and doing the stuff I normally do. Everything now is like virtually, which I think is good for a health standard of community. But it's not easy. And but I don't let that stop me, and I don't let that discourage me, because only like 9 to 10% of us are minorities. Guess what? I'm going to be that one. And I'm going to, if I have people that come under me and say, hey, listen, Montel, you look very successful. Can I talk to you about what it takes to be a good, broker or whatever? I'm going to have conversations with those people. And that's what I mean by being present. Because for me, one conversation in my career that I had with an amazing guy, his name's Ryan Serhan. I don't know if all you guys know who Ryan is. I'm sure you do. $1 Million Listing Ryan. Ryan did a class at when I was getting my real estate license, where he was doing continuing education, and he was actually was the instructor for that particular course that day. And he literally had some conversations, and that inspirational conversation of being present and also saying, hey, listen, success isn't going to be overnight. You're going to have to put in the work in order to get what you're trying to get. But if you have that go-to, that ability to continue to get to know better, to continue to get better, guess what's going to happen? You'll start seeing the results from your hard work and your effort. And I'll be honest with you, success is still hard to maintain. People think, oh, well, God, well, you had a good year. But listen, the hardest thing to do is to run it back, to do it again. Okay. So the reason why I love this 10X hat, it's not really about 10X per se. It's about the movement. It's a mentality. It's about constant efforts, about going out and getting the life that you see and you just say you deserve. The efforts, the work, the stuff that it requires you to continue to replicate those actions. Whether if you're working out, guess what? I want to get better at that, because God knows COVID has messed up my workout regimen. But but all of these things, right, are very, very critical. And I believe that just because I'm a Black man, I believe Black is beautiful, just like every other color. But it's time for us to start recognizing each other, giving each other the same credit. Just like I talked about with the women movement, I think it's very important for the African American experience in this country to really see what our really aspirational goals were in the Declaration of Independence and the preamble and all those things, right? We got to start seeing that stuff really play out for all of us. And that's also why you're seeing all this craziness and what we feel like is this total tug of war between two different sides or whatever. It's because when one is not feeling they're included, guess what they're going to want to do? They're going to want to start out here and shake things up. Call it good trouble. I love that. I love Congress. Rest in peace, John Lewis. Good trouble is important. And I think that's another word, good trouble. Good trouble is not just inclusive about race. It's also included about these conversations that we're having right now. If you're not willing to speak up when you see a wrong being done, then are you helping the cause or are you hurting it?
Amen.
So, my ideas on race is that, yeah, I'm a Black man. When I walk outside my beautiful house every day, guess what? I'm going to be a Black man when I come back. But guess what? That's not going to define who I'm going to be as I go out here on this journey called being a success and being a businessman. And I'm going to deal with the obstacles, but I'm going to challenge myself to not let that stop me. Let's keep going.
Amen. 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 I want to talk a little bit about money for a second.
Okay.
Women are so scared of the money concept, and it drives me nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Because for one, if you don't talk about it, you ain't about it. And I'm like,
Correct.
How can you not be about it in this day and age? So, we're also in an MLM company, aside from the fact that we're business owners. So obviously, right, when you own a business, you're in sales. MLM is sales. So now, we do these financial conversations in our show too, because you know what? Ever since we started doing these conversations, we've realized the opportunity that we have to help our community better their financial game. Here's the thing, whether we like it or not, we need money to live. Like, it's like money doesn't buy you happiness, but money magnifies everything that you do or don't do. And it's a vehicle for everything that you need in life. So, while starting to mentor some of our clients and also just community members with regards to their money game, because they're like, okay, I want to I want to better my game, blah, blah, blah. And they join the MLM that we belong to, they always say, I'm really bad at sales.
Mhm.
And it's something that we disagree with, because I mean, if you think about it, like, doesn't your 3-year-old sell you every day?
Yes, that boy can sell me better than I can sell a client on a house decision. I'm just being honest with you.
Of
Like that
course.
boy came into this world understanding that, look, you must hustle and you must always hustle. Daddy, I need a new car. Daddy, I need, matter of fact, we're dealing with buying a new house. Daddy, I want a pool in my new house. So there's his requirements for what I have to get in order for him to be happy with this house approval. So trust me, I get it. I get it. It's important. It's an important conversation.
It's very important. But for any woman who thinks that she is not good at sales, can we talk about how that's a lie? And about
Uh,
the concept of sales from your
yeah,
experience, having sold like over $500 million in real estate.
honestly, and that figure, I want people to understand something. I've had a 20 plus year career, so it's been compacted of different experiences in parts of real estate sales. So I've been on from the standpoint of when they called, my definition back in the early days was a closer. My job was to get deals closed, and I did it very effectively well. But I wasn't compensated on that closing part of the sheet and understanding the process of who gets paid and how it works, right? In the structure, I wasn't the most well paid person in a lot of those deals. So then I realized, I was like, okay, in order for me to maximize myself being in a better opportunity in another situation, I need to get on the other side of this desk. Because yes, I am still in facilitating this, and I'm the one that's controlling who people getting keys and money exchanging. That's all great, but that don't mean that I'm controlling the actual transaction. Who's directing this business over here? Guess what? The real estate agent's directing this business over here. So guess what? I need to be one of them in order for me to steer business to the type of businesses like this that I work for, that's going to get the type of things that I want to get. So I think we all have the ability to sell. And I think what you would tell those women is to stop saying that you can't. You are the best. You're already a walking sales representative. Because if you like Gucci, Louis, all of that, guess what? You're a walking billboard to those brands, right? You're selling those brands every time you put them on. You walk out to that beautiful Mercedes that you may drive, or whatever, Honda, whatever. And I'm not putting it, to anyone's, perspective, but I'm just saying, like, we're a world of brands, right? And the stuff that we choose to wear, the labels we choose to wear, are brands that we choose to affiliate ourselves with. So if you're willing to put that on when you walk out, you can sell you to the people. What are we talking about? You have the ability to sell you. You are your best voice on selling what Montel or what Sarit stands for, or what Tanya stands for, or Emily or Tanya or Rachel or Jeanette. I mean, all of you women are bosses, and you can go out here and sell anybody on anything. You just got to know it in yourself that, hey, I can do this, right? And then now I got to do the hard work. What do I need to do? And sometimes it's about multiple things. You got to find mentors, you got to find people to connect to, but then also you got to do your research, right? But then it's about work. You can't be scared of it. You got to get out there. Like, I moved up to New York, honestly, not a client base or any of that kind of stuff. It was all like, look, concrete jungles, sink or swim, dog. You what you gonna do? And I was like, okay, I got this, because of the experiences that I had the first 13 plus years of my life. I was like, all right, I can go to a new city, new environment, and I can do things successfully here too. It starts with a belief that came from within. And then it also, my wife's like, hey, babe, you got this. Go get it. Let's go get that first one. And then the first deal turned into the second. And then the second turned to, you know what I'm saying? But it's work and it's repeated efforts every day. But I think everybody has the ability to do it. We just got to believe it.
What is the importance of self-confidence when it comes to sales?
Um, I would say, I think there's people, especially living in New York, we got overconfidence. So for me,
Cocky, arrogant?
negotiation, yeah, and arrogance. And I don't believe in that. Like, I believe, because of what my values are, I don't believe I got to be the most boisterous person at the table to get the deal done. A lot of times, the person that has the cooler head can tend to steer things in the right direction. I've literally been at closing tables where things are going to blow up, right? And then after pulling everybody aside, it's kind of like, being in a boxing ring and everybody's like, okay, go back to your corners. Well, let's go to our corners and let's kind of recool ourselves, readjust. What's the focus here? What's the goal here? you know Put yourself out of the equation, because a lot of times it's not even about me when I'm dealing with these deals and these issues. It's about the people that I'm representing and the people that's being represented by the other party. So if my goal is to make them successful and make sure that they get what it is they want, which is normally a home purchase or multifamily package, or they're trying to get the first business started and have that commercial property done, and me blowing it up by my ego and my arrogance isn't the right thing that's good for them. And it's really not good for me, because honestly, I only get compensated once the deal does close. So why would I now blow this up because of ego? So for me, I think that's an important thing that you got to have. Like, I believe I pride myself on being a negotiator, but a negotiator that it don't take me 5 days to get a deal done. Like, the reality is, like, if I know my side of the party is ready to go and willing and open to getting fair market value, and they're willing to pay for it, or acquire, guess what? We're gonna get a deal done. I'm confident about that. Now, that might be a little bit of my ego, because I just believe I'm not letting the deal get killed because of stupidity. But I believe that you have to manage those emotions and stuff to be able to do the right thing. Because, to be honest, this is service business. Sales is service. You're selling yourself, and you're selling products, and you're selling relationships and stuff like that. And so for me, that's an important part of what we're doing. So Montel is not that. I'm going to be the partner in this process. And that's actually what I am. I don't even call it an advisor. I'm a partner. I'm trying to help you accomplish what it is you said it's your goal, right? And if you have some challenges, meaning your credit's not great or whatever, I got some people that we could talk to in regards to helping you build your credit and understanding your financial, independence and credit worthiness and all those things, so you can get yourself to the goal that you seek, right? So not killing someone's dream because they may not be at where they want to be right this second, but you can get there in 6 to 12 months of hard work or 24 months of hard work. It's just going to be, hey, are you willing to do the work?
Hey, exactly. I love it. You know, I want to ask you one last question. And when we talk about success in life, for each and every one of you guys listening, when you hear the word success, think what it means to you, because I believe that success has a different symbol for all of us.
Mhm.
But what is the importance of accountability when it comes to achieving success, any kind of success, from your own personal experience?
My accountability to myself, because I'm the reason why I decided to do what it is I choose to do, right? But then the other part is that for me, success is always ever evolving, because once I've achieved this year's goals, I'm redoing the wheel, recreating it. Like, okay, what can I do then get better next year, right? And how can I increase, my production and my visibility and all those things for next year's goals? I start going into that at the end of the year, actually. I take a little cup. And I suggest this to people. Sometimes you got to take a couple of months or weeks or whatever. If you have vacation situations, take some time to get out of situations so you can look at things in life and examine them. I do that at the end of the year, the last 2.5, 3 weeks of the year, because things aren't as crazy in my business at that time of the year. I can get away and put some family time in, but I also can evaluate my business and where I am and what I'm trying to do. And that's when I work on next year's business plan. What I'm going to do next year to go after the actions that I see for next year and to get better. And if there's some things that maybe I left a deal on the table this year because it just wasn't opportunities to get it done because of various situations, I'm going to get that deal also added into next year's goals. I'm going to I'm going to do this thing, So for me, the accountability to that is that I'm holding myself accountable for the goals that I set out for myself. And if you look behind me here, this is a vision board. It's a vision board that my wife and I started working on 7.5 years ago. And it's ever changing and evolving. It's both hers and mine. We did that for a reason, because we're joined as a family unit. So we feel that if we're going to set out goals for each other in our lives, we need to be in of the same mindset. Doesn't mean that there's not different ways to get to whatever our goals are, but we need to have a standard that what we're setting as our family of how we're going to go about our lives. And then when we start knocking off these goals, we check them off, and then it was like, okay, change the images, change stuff, reboot, right? And that's the accountability, because that's the dreams, that's the vision, that's what we're trying to accomplish. And then as we're seeing things get checked off, we're like, oh shoot, she just told me the other night, she was like, babe, we gotta update this vision board. I was like, oh shoot, that means we done accomplished some stuff. Okay, so that means we need to stretch, we need to get bigger.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where it is for me. I believe if you're accountable to your goals and your dreams and your aspirations, the things that you seek will eventually happen. But just don't expect it to be overnight. I don't believe in overnight successes, because it was hard work to get it to the point that became public and people got to see you in the light. But that does not mean you didn't put in the work to become the Sarah Blakeleys of the world, all the boss ladies out here that's handling their business. Like, they weren't overnight successes. They put work in to get the objective of being a success down the line. You're just seeing the fruits from her labor now, but she put in work to get that business started. And I say that because honestly, I'm a big Sarah Blakely fan. So I just think she's a bomb lady. So for me, that's just, that's my thing. But I think that's important. Like, I think and the success should be defined on what you choose it to be. I'm not going to tell you what success is for any one of you, right? Because in reality is, I know people that make, $60,000 a year. They feel very successful, and they're having a life that they love and they enjoy. Their house paid for, whatever those goals are, and they're happy with that, and that's okay. So I can't tell you that that's not success. You get what I'm saying? So for me, it might be a little different, but that don't mean that my success is better or greater than the other person's success. It's just that it's my experience and what I want for my life and how I see my life. And if you notice, most of this conversation, we talked about some of the numbers and stuff. I don't like talking about it, to be honest with you, because it's not my game. Now, I will tell you this, because I'm gonna let y'all know right now. With that success, I got a new goal based on the TEDx challenge last week. I really want to see the personal wealth, hard work from all the deals I've done, because I didn't see a lot of that. A lot of that success was made for other people that I represented or worked for. So now it's about getting the fruits from that hard labor of being on all these deals to kind of come into my organization and what I'm trying to do for my family wealth plan, right? So now I want to achieve that $200 million success plan for my family and my personal business, because I think that's more important, and that's really what I'm about, and that's what my focus is. So my efforts about 10X right now is about 10X and everything, getting doors, right? Owning buildings, properties, and things that's going to create a legacy for my family and my family's family and the people that I'm around, and inspiring those people to go out and get their own doors, get your own keys to your own doors so you can do whatever you want to in your life. That's what it's about.
Amen. Go get your keys.
Go get your keys.
Man, this was epic. Thank you so much for your time, for sharing your story, for the wisdom and for the love. Man, like, when it comes to success, when it comes to relationships, when it comes to overcoming adversity, business, it's all just life conversations, and people are just, I don't understand why people have a hard time just talking about life. It's like, hey, let's come together and have a real life conversation. Let's talk about what matters so that we can all just learn from it and get better. So for those of you guys listening, I hope that you found a lot of value from this conversation. And Montel, if anybody, wants to ask you any more questions, where can they find you?
Well, obviously on IG, it's K&M Enterprises on IG, and then also on Facebook, which of course a lot of us are doing stuff on today. It's Montel Fleming on Facebook, and you get to those sources, you can find ways to get me. It's not hard. I'm going to start working on another part of what I want to do is I love these opportunities, and I think it's important to be able to share them with other people and help inspire other people. So I'm going to create some coaching opportunity platforms, some one-on-one situations for people that really want to lean in and understand who they are and live their best self. So that's something I'm working on. I'm not going to lay it out right now, but it's coming soon is what I'll tell you. So I'm in the middle of a move right now. I'm making a big transition. I'm moving down to Florida because I want to be closer to my family down there. And I think this is something I learned out of this whole process of COVID too, is that it's time for the new stretch. New stretch is trying to change your zip code and do it over again. Let's run it back. So I'm going to do something different down there. I'm still going to do my business and stuff up here too, but it's time to be a totally evolved Montel, and I'm working on that. I'm a work in progress. So just be looking out. I'll put it out on Facebook and social media as things are running out. But the goal is to start running those things probably first of the year after I make this major move in the next maybe 30 days. Because I got to find a new house. I just sold my house. I got to get rid of it. I got to go find a new house now. So.
Well, hey, anything that Erin and myself can do to help support you, of course, we're family and we're happy to.
And likewise, you can run this back anytime you need me. You know how to find me. You got all my personal, so you know how to find me. You just let me know.
Yes, I'm all up in your business.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. That's what family do. That's what family do. And welcome to my new family members out here. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for being here and letting me share my story. And I hope I've been a blessing and an inspiration to you. But let's all lean in together. We all are one big family. Let's recognize that. And let's not let our differences separate us from what we're trying to accomplish. And let's go out here and be our best selves. So if I can help any of you on that process and the journey, we can make each other's known to one another one of these days. I'm always around.
Amen to that. And for those of you guys who are watching this on YouTube, please do us a favor and hit the subscribe button so that you can be notified anytime we drop another beautiful interview like Montel's today. If you're watching this on if you're listening to this on podcast, we just launched podcast this week.
Yes. Let's get that.
This is me not even knowing what I'm saying. I'm human, imperfect action. If you're listening to this on podcast, and do us a favor and please subscribe, because we're getting this started, and the more we can spread the message and the more we can make a bigger impact and really help to build that community that we know is so very special. And if you're a part of this community, then please drop a heart. Then that will be our honor and our pleasure. Montel, thank you so much for your time today. You know it.
I know it. Listen, that's what I told you. Connectivity, okay? I got y'all. This is what it's all about. So much love to everybody.
Man.
Appreciate y'all. Good. Thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure. And for those of you guys listening, thank you so much for listening today. We will catch you on Monday morning, 6:30 a.m. Montel, it's been a pleasure.
I love you, girl. I'll talk to you soon.
Love you too. Ciao, honey.
Okay.
Bye, guys.
All right. Bye-bye.